Hello. So, where most of us left off was this. We had our drum beats. Some of us went a little further, and I'm going to talk about that for my requirements for today. So, we've got our drum beats. If you've got all your drum beats mapped out and they sound good, then you're good to go to adding some more layers. So, I wanted to add a verse that was more melodic and had some more sounds to it other than drums, obviously. So I started out really simple by adding my drums, by moving them, copying them down here, by holding the Option key and dragging it down a copy, or I could just right click and copy and then paste to where the next line is. So if some of you haven't done that, do that, because your drums need to be in each part of your song. You need a beat. So then what I did was I tried to find some sounds that I might like to make some other music with. So I found this ambient swells sound in my sounds folder, and I put that in here. First, I think I played the piano with it, then I changed it to ambient sounds. So I just laid in this one little track on top of my drums, and it sounds like this. And I really liked that. I liked that with the beat, so I thought I'd go with that further. And as you can see, my tempo is low, like it's 98. And we started out with 120, and some of you wanted really fast, so I said you could go to 140. So my sound was more like a mellow sound, so I wanted it to be slow. And that's why I don't fill in every single section in here. So even though my drum is tempo is kind of fast with the 16th notes and everything, this is more slow, drawn out. So I decided, well, I want to add some more sounds to that. So I came and I added something called nebula, and then I added some flute and some stabs, and that seemed to make a nice little put a little bit more flavor into my verse. So I'll play that. So as you can see, I started with this, and then I added this with the nebula. Then I added the flute, which was this pattern. And again, I don't have to fill in every single one to make it sound right. I played around with it a little bit, and then I put this in, little stabs that would play really quickly at different parts to accent the rest of my song. So that was good. I like that as a verse. I put this as verse, well, I'll show you this now. You can see I have intro, verse 1, verse 2, and then I have a chorus, and then I have an outro. And that's what we're going to be aiming for at the end. But what I'd like you to do is work on your verse. So try to work out something nice for your verse. Try to think of a simple melody, and then enhance it with more sounds overlaid over top. But I'm going to show you how I finished this all off so you can get an idea. So now, again, I copied, I hit the Option key and dragged this down and copied it one more time. And I didn't want to use the swells this time. I did want the nebula, and I kept it the same because it was kind of a nice little underbeat of sound. I took the flute out, and but left the stabs in. But I wanted a different sound and a little bit of different notes. So I literally took what I had done with my flute, copied it over to here by doing Command C, Command V over here, but I lowered all of the notes, and then I didn't like that. So I just changed it to a very lower octave and then added a couple little notes in between. So if I solo that out, this is what I have. So there you go. It was completely different than my flute sound up here. But I like the way it went. So if I play it and unmute it, unsolo it. And you can still hear the stabs in there, and you can still hear the nebula in there, and it still sounds good, I think. So there you have that. So the next thing you know is I wanted to go back and kind of play a little outro with the drum. I didn't want a really big outro, big banging outro, because it's a mellow song. So what I did is I copied the drums from up here, the full set of drums, but I took off this last bit except for this one note so that it will end just how I'm going to play it. And then it just stops, and that's the end of my song. So I'm going to put that all together, and again, I labeled now everything that I liked. I labeled in here. I'm not going to use the verse part 1. I'm just going to use the intro, verse 2, chorus, and outro. And you want to play it like a few times. So at least 4 bars. And in through each one. So when I go to record this, which we'll learn later, I am going to make sure nothing's muted. I'm going to come up here, and what I'll do is I will play these in order that I want them to play, and I'll record them, and then they will all make one long song at the end. So if I play the intro for like 4 to 8 beats, then I gotta be ready to add the next part. Then I play the chorus. It's all the timing of when you hit the play button. And then I go back to the verse. And then the outro. There you go. So that's it. And if I were to record that, it would come out all in one string over in my other side over here. But I didn't do that because that's for later. So I hope you got the gist of what we're trying to do here. So we're just building on what our foundation, adding stuff, deleting stuff we don't like, switching it around. And what I'd like to have you have today is as far as you can go with a verse. And if you've already done your verse, some of you might have add a chorus. and maybe think about an outro. At least work towards that goal. So whenever you do have that done, I want you to take a screenshot of what you first save your live set, and then I want you to take a screenshot of it and upload it to the assignment.